Okay, anyway, so as I was saying, I'm Boris. I'm a physician assistant. I've been practicing going on 4 years. I've been advising people to get into PA school going on 5 to 6 years. And as I've been doing this with hundreds and hundreds of people, I've distilled kind of this time in the year, just before CASPA opens, I've distilled everything you should be thinking about into one document that I actually finished like frantically today. So is it completely perfect? No. But once it is completely perfect, it'll be on my website, Personal Statement Pros. Personal Statement Pros, a website you should all be familiar with. And this is, okay, that's fine. Anyway, personalstatementpros.com. This used to be Boris the PA. If you've ever followed me on social media, this is now Personal Statement Pros because we're growing. We're getting more coaches based on these systems that you're going to hear today. So, what is the purpose of this thing that I call the PA School Application Strategy? The purpose is, I don't know about any of you, but if you have parents, friends, anybody in your family who's advising you who is a PA or is a doctor or has kind of been guiding you all along the way, how to apply, what classes to take, what to do, how to get into this incredibly competitive program, then you kind of don't need this. But if you're not in that very privileged group, then you do need this. Because this is the kind of stuff that people who have experience applying, this is the kind of stuff that they will be telling you literally from day one. Like, hey, why aren't you studying? You need to get good grades. It'll be extremely hard to like make up for it if you don't, that kind of thing, right? So stuff I wish I knew. You know, I didn't take college seriously, had no idea how to apply, didn't know what a PCA hour was, and senior year rolls around and it's like, well, now what, right? So 5 years later, finally got it, or 6 years later. And then I'm trying to teach you guys how to do this so you don't have to wait as long as I did. Also, before I even get to this, I want to say this is interactive. This is questions whatsoever. Just raise your hand. We will not put you on TikTok, just your voice. And just like ask me anything that comes to mind at all. Otherwise, I'm giving the same presentation to every single class and it's, you know, that would get monotonous, right? So any questions whatsoever, shoot a hand up. We'll stop immediately and we'll see what you have to say. Okay? But if there's no questions at this time, we're going to go on. So this person says, I have a good GPA, I have plenty of hours, why didn't I get in? Because that's all you need, right? Good GPA, good hours, that's it, right? Maybe not. I've applied 3 years in a row. I'm competitive, I don't get a single interview. I applied to 10 schools, 8 rejected me, 2 ghosted me, 0 interviews, what am I possibly doing wrong? What do these people have in common? Are they necessarily not competitive? Do they have like a 2.1 GPA? Do they have no hours? Did they basically leave the essay blank? What did they do wrong? Not necessarily. They might have just not applied at the right time, to the right schools. They might have been disqualified for one reason or another. All of this you will get from here. So these are the factors that you should be considering. Is the program rolling or traditional? Just by a show of hands, do you guys even know what that is? Somebody's got to. Everyone does? Does everyone follow me on social media or do you guys do research? Because I talk about this ad nauseum. But a lot of people you ask are like, what does that even mean? Don't I apply at the same time to every program? No. Stats. Everybody knows what that is. I interview anybody whatsoever on my channel immediately. What's their stats? What was their GPA? So these are definitely huge, but not everything. Also, what goes into stats? Is it just GPA and PCE? Does science GPA count? Does prerequisite GPA count? Volunteering, shadowing, all those could possibly have minimums, depending on the program you apply to. Standardized testing, GRE, PA-CAT, do you even need them? If so, when should you take them? What score is good? All that kind of stuff you need to be thinking about. Prerequisite courses. Are they just kind of an afterthought? Oh yeah, I was a bio major, of course I have my prereqs done. Maybe not. Did you get the right grades? Did you get the right courses? Are the same courses for every program? All these things to be thinking about, and they're all in this document. This document's free, by the way. I'm not trying to sell you things. Also, special circumstances. These are kind of immutable. You can't really change a lot of these. Whether you're a veteran, I don't recommend going into the Army for 4 years just to be competitive. That would be a tremendous waste of time unless you want to be in the Army. Diversity, you can't really change your ethnicity, but if you have a certain ethnicity, that could be advantageous for certain programs. Your undergraduate institution where you graduated from, again, not something you can change, but something to look into, and also where you live, because some programs really care about that. So these are the 5 factors. By a show of hands, is there at least one of these factors that you have not considered while kind of planning your application? At least one of them. The one in the red has considered every single one of them, so she's definitely a shoe. She's like the only one that didn't raise her hand. Anyway, okay. So we're going to go by these one by one, and then we're going to go all the way to the end and flip that triangle upside down and figure out how you should be planning your strategy right now before CASPA actually opens. So before I do that, any questions whatsoever jumping out?
There's some questions in the chat.
Ready?
Yeah.
We'll do the live questions first, and then we'll...
Okay, we have, what school is this being hosted at?
This is University of Pittsburgh.
Woo, go Pitt!
What's your mascot here, the Panthers?
Yes, rock.
Okay. All right, there you go.
And then we have, is this being recorded? They want
Yes.
to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure TikTok records everything. If they don't, blame TikTok, but I'm pretty sure they do.
Okay,
Like
great.
the live I did earlier with Kelly Botta, if you guys watched that, that was recorded, that will be posted.
And then...
Sorry,
there's
we had
one
a
more.
real person
Go
question
ahead.
here.
I was just wondering, do you think that schools are moving away from the GRE and the PA-CAT into something different? Because I've heard a lot of rumors that there's going to be more of a complete standardized test and less of just a SAT type of thing.
So schools are moving away from the GRE.
Okay.
Schools are moving towards the PA-CAT.
Okay.
The last time I did my research was a week ago. About half the 310 programs in the country want the GRE, and it's a requirement. And I think only about 20 programs want the PA-CAT. At least my hope is, kind of easy for me to say on the other side, is that PA-CAT gets more popular, because it's just going to be, it's like the MCAT, right? It's just how much do you know? I'm really, really happy I didn't have to take it. But yeah, also there's a lot of nuance here. Like there's a lot of programs that require the GRE for certain people and then not other people. It's really nuanced. But about half the programs currently require the GRE. PA-CAT is growing in popularity. You're very welcome. Other
Someone
questions?
was wondering also where the document link to this will be.
So as of right now, it doesn't exist because I literally just finished this today. So I'm going to be spell checking it, editing it, probably changing the whole thing, and then it'll go to my, who's the guy that makes my website, my editor or whatever. And then it'll be on personalstatementpros.com under resources, and it's all free. So yeah, if you haven't seen them, there's tons and tons of resources, interview guides, all kinds of stuff on there already. It's free, again. Okay. Any other questions, or can we move on? Good? Okay, cool. All right, so why is this first? Rolling versus traditional application review. So, can somebody tell me what rolling applications are? What's
They
a rolling
get
application?
sorted as they come through.
Mm-hmm. So as soon as CASPA opens,
You can start applying right away, and you can hear in that time frame.
you can hear back from the school.
Yeah, from at any point from that time frame.
So that's the nice thing about it. What's the not so nice thing about it?
You have to get it in first because they see those first.
Because they might potentially,
Take all their people, and then after that point, then there's nothing you can do.
yeah. Let's say the program has 30 spots. Let's say they get 60 qualified applicants. They interview 60 within the first 2 weeks of the application cycle. They're full. That could happen. So rolling, you definitely have to apply as early as possible. And then traditional is kind of the opposite of that. So they're non-rolling. So they save all their applications until after the deadline, and then they review all of them at the same time. So for those, you don't have to apply early. It doesn't matter when you apply. Technically, the earlier you apply for rolling, the better, because if you're even good enough, not stellar, not excellent, just good enough, they may interview you, and you do well in the interview, boom, that's it, you're in. If your question?
How early is early?
I mean, I say ASAP, right? CASPA opened on April 25th this year. Let's say, I don't know when it actually opens for you to start putting stuff in, but let's even say 25th. By that time, I really want you to have your transcripts ready to go, already sent to CASPA, or at least hovering over the parchment button saying, click, go to CASPA. GRE, if you've already taken it, getting the scores ready to go. Letters of recommendation already written, people expecting the emails. What else? Your essay definitely written by my book. Yeah. What was I going to say there? Oh yeah, anyway, basically everything ready to go to input, stay up all night if you have to on the 25th, boom, you're applied by the 26th. Is that too much to do?
Question.
Yeah.
Are you able to pick and choose which schools you submit to? Say that you already reached the amount of hours for one of the schools,
Sure.
and you apply right as soon as it opens.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say that you still need about 2 more weeks of work to reach 1,000 hours
Like the
for
minimum
another
for another
role.
program. Yeah.
Are you able to submit
Yes and no.
separately?
So technically, no. Technically, once you've submitted even to one school, your grades, they're all verified, your transcripts are verified, your letters are in, all the experiences you wrote down, they're already not changing. What you can change, at least according to CASPA, is adding new experiences. So you could technically cheat and say, hey, this is a new experience, even though it's the same place. Make up a new role, do something, right? You could do that. You could also email the schools and say, hey, can I please update my application? I did this, this, and that. And they will. Actually, scratch that. Some of them will. Some of them on their website, they literally say, do not send us stuff. We will not update your application afterwards just because. Right? So again, do your research. But for a lot of programs, you can do what I call like a two-tiered application strategy. So rolling first, ASAP, and then keep gathering stats, keep doing stuff, and apply towards the application deadlines for the other programs. And like the way I say it is, let's say you apply to 10 programs. Let's say 2 months goes by and you go, wait, I want to apply to more programs. You can do that. There's just limited things in CASPA that you can modify. But technically, if you have a good relationship with admissions, they will take more classes, more hours, more volunteering, just as a like email basis, and they'll just put it in. Also, kind of a cheap trick, you kind of keep your name top of mind for those folks because they keep whatever your name is, right? Let's say Ashley. Like, oh yeah, Ashley submitted something again. Don't do it every 2 hours. Maybe every month, every couple months. Like, oh yeah, Ashley went on a mission trip. And now 2 months later, Ashley took another course. And they're just like subconsciously thinking about it. Is that necessarily fair? No. Is that something you should maybe do? Maybe. Right? If they know you, it can only be good for you. So first and foremost, once you've made your list of schools, and I'm going to teach you how to do that, the very first thing you should sort them by is rolling versus non-rolling, because now you know where you need to get your stuff, what your deadline is, which should be when CASPA opens, and the other one where you can kind of relax a little bit more. So I think we very thoroughly explained rolling versus non-rolling, what's important, what's not important, and yeah, we just talked about all this. Good. Also, are people in the back hearing me pretty good without a microphone? Not mumbling? All right, cool. Any questions from live or from online?
Yeah. Someone said, how does LORs work? Do I ask them and then receive what they wrote, or do I wait and CASPA sends it?
Let's see. I actually don't think that's on here, so I'm just going to explain it. So, what's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, LORs, letters of recommendation. Okay, so the way this works is you need at least 3, preferably 5 letters of recommendation. My advice to everybody getting letters of recommendation is you need at least 3. 1 from a PA. You're trying to be a PA. How is it possible you don't know a PA one, right? Some people, yes, absolutely, a nurse practitioner, a doctor, somebody, but I strongly, strongly recommend a PA. Again, it's obvious reasons, right? A PA. A academic reference, so a TA or preferably a professor. Some schools even require a professor, academic advisor, something like that. A third one would be a character reference. Again, these are not required. You could do 3 PAs if you wanted. These are my requirements. Why is that? So each of these LORs are going to be a different topic. So from the PA, they are going to communicate one, that you understand what the PA scope of practice is, your potential to be a good PA, that's essentially it. What is the academic reference going to talk about? Academic reference is going to talk about how strong are you academically. Preferably like this person, had some trouble and then they really worked hard, they went to office hours, they modified things, and now I feel like they can handle anything, right? So academic reference. Character reference. People like being around this person. When people come in to work with this person, they're like, oh, Ashley's here, right? Like they're like, oh, sweet, Ashley's here, right? It's going to be a good day. Like that kind of thing. They're hardworking. They show up on time. All that kind of stuff. So different things for different LORs. Also, all this stuff should be in your essay in different examples. But as far as LORs, that's what that is. How do they receive them? So again, 2 stages. 1, way before CASPA opens, which is now, talk to your references. Talk to them about, hey, would you please be a reference for me? Would you write me a letter? Once that's a yes, you can talk to them about, like, here's what I really want you to focus on in your letter. Hey, remember that one time when I really kicked butt on that exam? That kind of thing, right? So tell them what you want them to talk about. Tell them you'll give them an outline, a rubric, whatever to write about. Tell them I'll even write the whole thing if you want, or as much of it as you feel comfortable. Because some of them will literally say, write this for me, right? Some of them should say that, because I've seen some really tragic LORs. It felt really bad. Very funny example about that later. So talk to them about writing a letter. The other thing that I feel like not nearly enough people know about is it's not only a letter. It's a Likert scale, if you know what that is, out of 5 or out of 6 or 10 or whatever, rating you on certain characteristics, saying, this person is a 0 out of 5, or this person's a 5 out of 5, 3 out of 5 on leadership. I don't know, likability, I don't know, whatever is all in there. But it's exceedingly important that you get all 5 out of 5s. And here's why. I don't have Wi-Fi today. My phone's over there. Okay, never mind. I'll just tell you. So there's a rubric that I like to reference all the time. It's by Widener University, which is I think local or local-ish, just because it's the prettiest and it has just the best like laid out format, but all the rubrics are different. They rate their LORs as a whole section that's just as important as GPA. And it says literally one section in the LOR section is all excellent. If you have even one good, that puts you in a lower category. So some way, somehow, using your people skills, communicate to these references that you must have all 5 out of 5s. If you don't, you're much less competitive than somebody who does have all 5 out of 5s. So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not telling you what to do, but I really hope that you will do this because it'll make me way less competitive if you don't. So that's that. I think I covered everything for LORs, right? Was that the whole question?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's all I have to say on LORs. Yeah.
When it comes to like the rolling admissions and like getting it in right away, on CASPA, are you able to see like the supplemental essays before the applications open up, or is like that, so you are able to?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Depending on the programs. So this is actually new. When I was applying, you couldn't at all. And then they would email you like, hey, we received your application. Here's like a whole like link. You pay more money and you get more essays and you get more to do. Now, CASPA is incorporating some schools that way. So some, like if you click on certain programs, they will say like, here's the specific questions for this program, right? Some will still send you an email link and then you'll just work on them like kind of offline.
But like later after your application's already in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or some will literally be in CASPA.
Yeah.
Like if you submit it to that application, you can't submit it without certain questions. So they're kind of both, honestly. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot about the LORs. So I'm definitely going to try not to name names here because it's hilarious, but it's also really tragic. So I was a scribe for some of my PCE. I was chief scribe, which means I was like handling the schedule. That's literally all it was. And one of my scribes, Jessica, who actually was one of my classmates, asked me to write her a letter, which like in hindsight is really dumb because she's competing with me, but here I am helping her. Really stupid, but either way, we both got in, we both graduated, we're both PAs. But the reason she asked me is because one doctor at the ER we were working at, who shall remain nameless, wrote her a letter that was the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Very brilliant doctor, very smart, kind of like this doctor, kind of not. Am I live? Anyway, this was like years ago at this point. But the point is, the letter was essentially 4 sentences. You know, like, it doesn't have to be long, but it was 4 sentences. And it was like, this person likes to dance. I like that. This person's going to be a good PA. The end. Come on, Doc. Like, I know you're better than that. And she actually liked this student, so I don't know what the heck happened. But I think the question was, I'm sorry, one second.
No, you're good.
I think the question was, can you see the letter beforehand? There's literally a checkbox in CASPA that says, you know, I'd like to view it or I'd like to not. You're going to click the checkbox that says, no, I don't want to view it. But if you have a good relationship with your reference, they'll show you. They'll let you edit it. They'll let you change things. Because Jessica saw that and she was like, can you please help me? So, yeah.
That's
what's
what I
your
was
question?
just about to ask.
Oh,
So
if you can view
answered
it.
my question.
So
Yeah.
technically, yes. Technically, you should say, no, I don't want to view it. I'm confident. But also use your relationship with that person to view it and edit it and make it good. You know? Because like somebody might be well-meaning. They might really like you. They might have a great position of authority, but just be a god-awful writer. And that happens. So, yeah. That does happen. That was the question about the LORs, right? Okay, so we moved on from here. We're done with this. This is like a whole-on essay on all that stuff. All right, stats. This is the thing that, was there a question up there? Thought I saw movement, never mind. All right, stats. So this is what everybody's talking about and what everybody's asking about because they're like, okay, this is all that matters, and it's not. But it does really matter. So GPA, obviously, grade point average, cumulative, science, prerequisite. Usually cumulative and science are kind of what's going to matter. Is it hard to calculate? Not really, but science versus not science, that might be a little bit tricky. But basically calculating it is quite easy. I can make a whole video on how to do that. And then CASPA will just do it for you anyway. So yeah, so there's that. Patient care experience. So this is high quality versus medium quality versus low quality versus what counts as patient care versus healthcare versus just nothing. Like research, for instance, is not patient care. If you're not patient facing, you're not actually working with patients medically, like you're a front desk person, that's healthcare, that's not patient care, that kind of thing. I've seen this range from 0 all the way up to 2,000 minimum. So kind of know where you are and also how fast, like you were saying, how fast you can get more hours. Volunteering. A lot of schools like to see a pattern of community involvement, that you care about something more than yourself and your grades, right? You care about, doesn't have to be medicine. You don't have to like feed homeless people. You don't have to do mission trips. You could pet dogs and walk dogs like I did for like 1,000 hours. It doesn't matter as long as you care about something, right? So you could do that. Do all schools require a certain number of hours? No. all schools do want a commitment to the community, but some schools legitimately have like 100, 200 hours minimum volunteer. So when you're perusing their websites, definitely check that. And if you don't have that, you know, definitely be sure to apply to programs that you do qualify for. Same thing with shadowing. Some schools require it, some schools do not. I personally think every school should require at least a good 50 hours of shadowing for at least 3 PAs. Why do I say that? How do you possibly know you want to do this for 40 years or 50 years if all you've done is you shadowed a PA at the urgent care one time for 2 hours? Just how, literally. Like, people do more research on the car they're about to buy than on the career they're about to commit their entire life to. So, like, for goodness sake, please shadow. As a PA, as someone who's been doing this a long time, please shadow. 1, it'll look good on your application, even if it's not required. 2, it'll give you so much fodder for personal statements, for interviews, for references, for jobs, for rotations. Just go shadow, please. Definitely very important. Also, how do you shadow if you have no connections, you're new in town? Pound the pavement. Go to every single urgent care, every single primary care office, every single outpatient specialty office, the emergency room, everywhere, and just be like, hi, I'm a pre-PA or a pre-med student. I would love to shadow every provider, every nurse, every kind of person that works here. And they'd be like, okay, you're a little enthusiastic, but anyway, let's get you on the board, let's do this, let's get your HIPAA assigned, and they'll do it for you, right? At least somebody will. You go to 100 places, someone will, right? That's exactly what I did. Like, the moment I decided, I'm extremely impulsive. The moment I decided I wanted to do this, I literally drove through the rain. I was in Hawaii at the time, it was like a monsoon. Really dangerous, really dumb. I was in a Mini Cooper. Like, over the mountain to Tripler Army Hospital at the ER, walked in there soaked in my little uniform, just pasted on me. And they were like, can we help you? Are you dying? I'm like, no, I want to shadow. And they're like, what's wrong with you? But like, here, you know, email major English tomorrow. We'll get you set up with shadowing, go home, warm up. I was like, yes, sir. So anyway, yeah, if you're motivated, go do that. Okay, this, super important. So about stats. If you haven't seen this article, please see this article. The PA Life, who gets into PA school in 2025. This was actually done a couple years ago. I think it was 2023 they published this. But anyway, the person that gets in, this isn't the person applying, this isn't the person you're necessarily competing with, this is the person that gets in, average, 3.6 cumulative GPA. Please don't walk out of the room if you don't have that, you still have a chance, it's okay. 3.5 science, 303, which is essentially right around 300 average GRE score. Long history, quote unquote, of volunteer work, which we don't know what that means, 100 hours, 10 hours, 1,000 hours. 2 hours, again, this is vague, of full-time work as clinical experience, but almost nobody that I've come across, and I've reviewed well over 1,000 applications, almost nobody has 4,000 hours. Almost nobody. So 2 years of clinical experience probably means in undergrad they were a CNA, they were a scribe, they did things on the weekends, they might have like 1,000, right? They might have like 700. But they're saying 2 years of full-time work. Oh, no, I'm sorry, they're saying 2 years of experience, not 2 years of full-time. So either way, my experience is it's usually around 1,000 that people get in with. If they're younger, you know, they just got out of college. This says, you know, more than that. Take that for what you will. Long history, again, volunteering just means you have to do some. Please have something that you care about outside of school. But does it have to be a lot of hours unless your school requires it? Not necessarily. Any questions thus far? Yes?
For volunteering, if you did some, like, would they prefer to see that you did it recently, or could you add up, like, something you like even done in high school for now?
Yeah, I mean, if you volunteered when you were 6 years old, put that in there, because that's
Does it
technically.
count?
Yeah, if you volunteered at any point throughout your life, put it in there.
Okay.
They might be like, okay, this was literally 20 years ago, what's happening here? But it technically counts.
Okay.
You know, if somehow as a 6-year-old you were working at a primary care office and you were taking blood pressure, that's PCE, right? So I don't see why it wouldn't count. It might be illegal, but it should count. So where are we? Stats, compare, long history. Were we talking about volunteering? Or what were we talking about? Oh yeah, so this literally just says long history of volunteer work. So would it look better, let's say you're admissions, right? And you're saying like, I want someone who cares about the community. Would it look better to you to have someone who did like Habitat for Humanity and blood drives in high school, and then all through college they were doing stuff consistently? Or someone who like last minute in frickin' February and March, the year they applied, really, really quickly went and like fed a bunch of homeless people? Like, who genuinely cares about this stuff and who kind of doesn't? That being said, if you don't have a single volunteer hour, go feed some homeless people, right? Do something. But, you know, just get some hours. And then, like, it's also understandable if you're working your way through school, you need money, you're, like, trying to graduate early, like, not everybody has volunteer hours. Everybody's different. Don't feel like just because something on this list of stats isn't exactly what you have does not mean that it's hopeless. It just means this is the average, okay? You might be stellar in some other way, or you might not be right now, but you will be. So again, don't worry, but this is just kind of the stuff to focus on. These are the people that do get it. Any other questions real quick? Yeah.
Mine goes back to like the rolling admissions. What if your transcripts are not like finalized when the rolling like CASPA opens?
You mean like if you're a junior?
Yeah, and if you're applying to year.
So what you're gonna do, it's the same thing that I have advice for if you have like let's say 1 or 2 or even 3 prereqs that are outstanding, you still put them in. Any classes you're enrolled in, you still put in there. They won't have grades. So you'll still request official transcripts through CASPA, or no, through Parchment. So they'll still be verified, they'll still be official, everything will be the same. You will just have more classes that are outstanding. And then you'll either update the schools or you'll update CASPA once those transcripts are in. Not certain if you can do that, but you can definitely update the schools once the official transcripts come in. Because they'll see that. People get accepted junior year all the time. All the time. So you're not really in like a bad situation. You'll just have, you know, an entire semester or even an entire year outstanding, right? Which is okay. So.
Do you think they care about like a long history of like patient care hours? Like if I started my patient care hours say like junior year or something, would they care that or that? Okay.
No, I mean, they're idealists, but they're also realists. They get it that you're 20 and you just found out about this profession and you're like, crap, I need hours, and then you got hours. Like nobody expects you to want to do this since you were like 7. That would just be crazy. So yeah, not at all. Yes.
I was just gonna ask, for volunteer work, like, do they look that you have like a volunteer opportunity that's like steady, or like does it not really matter? Like I could volunteer here, 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 and here, or do they want something like I go every Friday to wherever? Like
Case by case. You know, if you're lucky enough to have every Friday free where you don't have to work, or you don't have to take care of a sick relative, or you don't have like a lab, yeah, maybe you'd be able to do that, but is that required? Would it be fair to make that a requirement? No. It's just whatever you can do, right? Like when I was getting my volunteer work, I was literally in the military, right? So if I like have to go stand watch or if I have to go do something, they're not gonna be like, oh wait, why weren't you volunteering on Thursday? Like, I don't know, I was serving my nation. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I still got it. So it really doesn't matter as long as you just kind of show that you care consistently. Even like once a month, you want to go do something.
okay,
It's not, like, don't read into it too much.
okay.
Right? It doesn't have to be that consistent. Yeah.
I know you kind of talked about this, like, would somebody who volunteered in like a medical area be like more above someone who did like animals or something else?
I don't think so. I mean, as someone that cares about animals, probably not. No, I mean, Habitat for Humanity, again, it doesn't matter. Like, what I really would like you guys to get away from on the whole volunteer front and just on the whole application is less on what's competitive and what looks good and just more what you care about, right? Like, let's say you finally make it to the interview and they ask you about, okay, so I saw you like were walking dogs. And you'd be like, yeah, it was good. I walked them. Or like they ask someone like me and I'm like, oh yeah, man, like their tails were wagging like every time they came in, the rump their belly. Like someone like visibly cares about what they do, right? So just do what you want to do. As long as it's volunteer. Yeah, just again, do what you want to do. Just pretend you're already at the interview process and it's just something that you will talk about passionately because it's what you genuinely care about. That's how you choose things. What else? Okay, so how do your stats compare? So when you look at these average stats, identify where you might be below average, where you might be above average. If you're not above average anywhere, try to get above average. Let's say you graduated already, your GPA is, I don't know, 3.4. Not tragic, it beats the minimum for everything, but it's not exactly super competitive. Go get a ton of hours. Go get a ton of volunteer. Start pounding the pavement and talking to all these admissions places. Like do stuff that the person with like a 3.9 might not have to do. Maybe go study really hard for the PA-CAT and just ace that. And now you just opened up 20 programs that nobody else can apply to, right? Like that kind of thing. So just kind of start thinking strategically instead of just, these are my stats, I'm gonna apply, and whoever takes me, takes me. Like that's not a winning strategy. A winning strategy is kind of like trying to be as specific as possible for where you might be more likely to get it. So yeah, we talked about that. Okay, also, let's say you do have some strengths. You're not like starting from behind the 8 ball. Let's say you actually have a super high GPA, but like 0 hours. Go get the minimum hours, but then also when you're choosing your schools, because you're not going to apply to 300 schools, that's too expensive. When you're choosing the schools that you're applying to, find the ones that have lower PCE requirements and higher minimum GPAs, and also higher average GPAs of the previous classes, because they obviously care about GPA. You got a 3.8, apply to the schools where the average was like 3.7, 3.6, 3.8 is kind of high. But apply to those schools that just characteristically like high GPAs. They're going to like you, right? If you don't have a super high GPA, or even if you do, but you have like a stellar number of hours for some reason, right? You've been a CNA on weekends and on holidays, and in the summer since you were a freshman, now you got like 2,500 hours. That's better than most, especially most in your age category. So they'd be like, wow, this is cool. And also you can unlock programs that have a higher minimum hours requirement. I've seen as high as like 2,000 or even 3,000. If you can qualify for those, a lot of people you're competing with literally cannot even apply. So that's how you want to start thinking. Where's the smallest pool of applicants that I could place myself into and be competitive? So yeah, the point is go where you are wanted, go where they want applicants like you. Super high grades, super high experience, other characteristics, that kind of a thing. Yeah, we just talked about volunteer ad nauseum, I believe. And again, just a reminder, programs have weird little requirements. Some really care about volunteers, some really care about shadowing. Read their website where it says admissions requirements. Read where it says all the requirements, go all the way down to the bottom. Make sure you're not missing anything, because if they require 100 volunteer and you don't have it, doesn't matter how high your GPA is, boom, you're not looked at because you don't meet the requirements. So make sure you're thorough. Yes and yes.
Oh no, I was just pulling my hair, sorry.
So I've seen a couple schools that's like will not accept like a B minus or like lower than a B for like science classes. Like how strict is that? Are they like not going to even look at your application if you have like a B minus in like chem?
That is right here, I believe, right? Prereqs? Yeah. So I'm sure every program is different. I'm sure every admissions director for each program year by year is different if they change over. But the ones that I've talked to, like Dr. Palferman from Rutgers, she says if they require a B, B minus is out. You know, because she said basically they get 5,000 plus applicants a year. Why would they be like, oh, this person doesn't even have all the prereqs done? Why would we consider them over like 4,000 other people that have, right? So it's super competitive. Just dot your I's, cross your T's. If you got a B minus in anatomy, go get you an A minus or an A, right? Just go do it. Also, some programs are not B or B minus. Some programs are C, right? So that's again where you want to review the admissions requirements and see what prerequisites they need, because not all of them are the standard list. Some of them might have something goofy on there. So make sure that you have that goofy class, because if you don't, you're disqualified. Make sure that you have the grade letter that they want. So B's, C's, whatever it might be. Ohio University is a C for everything. Duke University is B minus. Why does Duke have to be weird? Why is it so random? Why not B? I don't know. But that's just how it is. That's what they want. So that means if you have a C plus, you're out for even one class. According to the people I've talked to, some people I'm sure are different, but like just assume that they're going to be extra strict, so just be extra strict with yourself. Also, even as importantly as grades is timing. So some programs, they might have for prerequisites 5 years. So if let's say you took 2 gap years and you took something freshman year, boom, you have to retake that, right? Some might say 10 years. Some try to make it even more complicated. And like Ohio University, A and P has to be within 5 years, but everything else is 10 years. And then Duke, everything is 10 years. And then some are like 7 years. And it's just, every program is different. The point is be thorough, do your research, and make sure you're qualified for every program you're applying to. Because literally every program is different. I don't know why they do this. I wish it was standard, but it's not, right? Was that the question? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
And then there's some live questions. Someone asked, do they like to see student athletes?
Maybe.
And then, do they like to see research?
I'm not really certain. So research is good because, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but every master's program in the US, you have to have a research component. You do a dissertation, which is like the most useless part of your PA education because you're not going to be a researcher. You have to like write this whole research thing and it's part of it, but it's like, I think it's dumb. But either way, knowing how to do research, being familiar with the concepts, yeah, it's good. Is it nearly as important as PCE? No. Because I've never in my life seen a program that requires research, and almost every program requires PCE. So go based on what they require. If they have minimums, that's much more important. But yeah, research is good, but is it super important? No. Being a varsity soccer player is good. You're dedicated, you obviously worked harder for your grades because you're like running all the dang time, but also not as important as like the basic stuff, right? So if you're an athlete but you have like a 2.1, sorry, it's not that important.
That kind of goes with the next one. Someone asked, what is considered a low GPA?
Question of the year, I guess. So it's getting higher every year. When I was applying, almost every program, the minimum was a 3.0. and some like really competitive programs have like a soft cutoff at 3.3. Now I've literally seen minimums of 3.3, which means soft cutoff might be 3.5.
Right.
So it's trending higher. But again, nothing is absolute. Like if you go to my channel, Personal Statement Pros, I've interviewed at this point dozens of people who all got in with like 2.1s, 2.3s before doing a bunch of work, right? But it's certainly possible, but you would have to put in a whole lot more work than someone who's got like a 3.9. So I guess a lower GPA would be considered, this is just me talking, 3.3 and below. You know, 3.4 is kind of the bare minimum if you want to be competitive and not try to like make up for it.
Okay.
I would say. Somebody would disagree with me, I'm sure.
And the last one, oh wait, oh gosh, a bunch
We
just
can't-
came in.
We can't answer all of them, it's okay.
Okay.
Otherwise this would be like a TikTok Q&A session and then you guys would just be kind of,
Okay.
like no, we're here for PIT, we're not here for just TikTok.
Okay.
So yeah.
I just want to do my job, I guess.
What's that?
I'm doing my job, so
You're definitely doing your job. You're doing a fantastic job.
thank you.
Absolutely. Was there another like really good question on there, or was it just? I'll let you screen them. If they're like really valuable, go for it. But otherwise, we're not going to answer all of them. Okay, so that's how many people are viewing, by the way, now?
93.
93. Yeah, tripled my record. I've had like 35, I think, so far. Sweet. Well, thank you guys for watching. That's awesome. Man, I guess announcing it probably helps some instead of just randomly turning on live. Okay, standardized testing. Is that where we are? Okay, standardized testing. So GRE and PA-CAT. Do you have to take these? No. Would it be a good idea? Maybe. So, like we said previously, about half of the 300 programs, 310 programs in the country require the GRE. That number's going down. About 20 programs, I think 18 at last count, require the PA-CAT, and that number, I believe, is going up. And I really hope it keeps going up. What is the GRE? If you haven't heard of it, it's essentially a glorified SAT, the graduate record exam. So it's basically like math problems, reading comprehension, a short essay, that kind of thing, right? If you're smart, you know how to read, you know how to write, you could probably eke out a 300-ish without really doing a whole lot of practice, whole lot of work. PA-CAT, without studying, good luck, right? Because it's content-based. It's like the MCAT. So with med school, at least, they recommend 3 to 6 months of 10 to 15 hours per day. Sorry, no, per week. Per week. 10 to 15 hours per week for 3 to 6 months. They recommend that for the MCAT, so I'm assuming PA-CAT is similar. Similar length, similar, it's okay, someone just left. Yeah, so similar length, similar content, so I would probably recommend, you know, a good at least 3 months of studying consistently. So the PA-CAT is a huge commitment. Why would you possibly want to do that only to apply to such a small proportion of programs? Because most people are not going to do that, right? So if you have a lower GPA, or even if you don't, if you want to really set yourself apart and be able to apply to that bucket of schools that most people cannot, take the PA-CAT, right? Same thing with GRE. If you want to open up half the schools in the country that a lot of people can't even apply to, take the GRE. Now, a lot of programs will have a minimum, you know, 285 as well. Like 295, 300, 303, like those are usually minimums. Here's an example somewhere around here. Maybe I'll just tell you because I can't find it. I literally just did, I don't know if you guys saw on TikTok, anyone follows me, Jasenia just got into a program, 3.4-ish GPA, you know, 2,000, 3,000-ish hours, a couple gap years. She got a 280 on the GRE. She still got it. And her program literally said minimum 300. So is that an absolute? No. Okay? So sometimes, I'm not telling you to do this, but sometimes just taking the test, just to check that box, even if you don't do well, that might still be helpful, okay? So I used to give the advice, like take a practice test. If you don't do well, don't even take it because it'll look bad. I changed my whole tune when Jasenia told me what happened, right? So do study for it if you are gonna take it. Question?
Is the PA-CAT similar to the MCAT where it's like if you take it, no matter your score, it's gonna get sent to the school?
I'm not certain about that. I know the MCAT you can take a bunch of times. PA-CAT I think you can take 5 times or so. Even the GRE, even if the school doesn't require it, it still ends up on your CASPA. Can they view it? I'm not certain, but I think they can. Because whenever I review people's applications, they give me their PDF and it's always on there, regardless of where they applied. So that's why my advice used to be, you know, if you're not going to do well on the GRE, don't even take it. Because then like programs that don't require it will see that and then they might have an opinion, even if it's not an official opinion. But if you're going to apply to a bunch of programs that require it, it might not be a bad idea to just take it. You know, 6 hours out of your life, 5 hours out of your life, might be a good idea. But yeah, with GRE, it's practice, practice, practice. It's not a whole lot of content. Take a bunch of practice exams. If there's like some algebraic concept you're not very good with, or you read slow, practice that. but that's essentially like just a few hours of practice. PA-CAT is just a whole different beast, but it can be very lucrative. Yeah.
What's a good PA-CAT score?
Ooh, glad you asked, because I researched this, because I would not know off the top of my head because it's so new. All right, so this is GRE. Where's PA-CAT? Man, I wish I didn't write so much stuff. So this is GRE. Good score is about 150 per section, 300-ish. PA-CAT. Does anybody see it? Can I just not read? GRE versus PA-CAT. One sec. It's probably over here somewhere. If I can't find it, I'll just tell you what I remember. I can't remember, and I'm not gonna like lie to you guys and try to make something up. I honestly don't remember. Did I not include it here? PA-CAT. I honestly can't remember. But ChatGPT can definitely tell me. You know, I honestly can't remember at all because it's so new. I have not done much research on it. I could have swore I included this, but it might have not saved or something. So sorry, I don't know.
It's okay.
Yep. But yeah, so that's kind of everything on the standardized test. Should you take it, should you not? Personal choice. But that's kind of all the information I would consider before deciding whether you should or should not take it. All right, next section. Unless we have any really good questions, yes?
When is like a good year in undergrad to take the PA-CAT or the GRE? Like if you're gonna go straight into K school?
It kind of doesn't matter. Just like with prerequisite courses, some schools do require a time limit. So within 3 or maybe even 5 years. So if you take it like freshman year, if you apply to a school that wants it within 3, it just expires. Right? It's also super early, you know? So maybe, especially if you design your curriculum well and you have kind of like a chill senior year, that would be a great time to study for both of these and take them. Or just take, half a gap year, maybe a gap year summer, that kind of thing, right? Prerequisite courses. All right, so did we talk about this already? Prereqs, what is required, what is not, letter grades, timing. I think we talked about all this, right? Yeah, so we already got ahead of this whole thing. Special considerations. Okay, so this is something that I'm kind of shocked more people don't think about. So also, again, I wish I could bring up that rubric, but the rubric basically gave you points for everything. Points for GPA, points for patient care experience hours, points for your letters of recommendation, your essay, all that kind of stuff. And those are 20 points apiece, all those big sections. Small sections, like these, they gave you about 5 points. So if you're a veteran, 5 points. If you're from an underrepresented population in medicine, essentially everyone who's not a Caucasian female, 5 points. I know, not really fair considering the makeup of this room, but hey, that's what they're trying to do. This one, I wish more people would think about. A lot of schools give you preference based on where your residence of origin is and where you went to undergrad. So for instance, Widener, the school that I keep referencing, if you went there for undergrad, 5 points. If you're a resident of Chester, Pennsylvania, wherever that school is, 5 points. They want people to stay in the area. ECU, East Carolina University, this was crazy. They only accept applications. At least that's what their website says. I don't know if I believe it because this is like legit crazy, but they only accept applicants from North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia, Washington, D.C. within 5 hours of the school. Like what? So if you're from Arizona, you can't even apply to ECU. If you live in North Carolina, then you're given preference. So check your website, check Pitt, like if they have a PA school, I'm not sure if they do, check to see if you went to Pitt, if that helps you. If you live in Pittsburgh or in Pennsylvania, if that helps you. And if you don't, if there's a school you really want to go to, move, or at least get a license in that area, right? Or a PO box, something, I don't care. Just find some way to do this, right? If they have that preference, every point counts. So yeah, make sure to check admissions requirements of every school, including residence and institution preferences. Okay. And then before we get to the final strategy, which I've already kind of done a prelude for, any burning questions? Because I know there's been a lot of information.
How does retaking classes affect your GPA? Like, will they still both go towards your GPA?
Yeah, so in CASPA, every single undergraduate course you've ever taken, from post-secondary in high school all the way up to post-bac, they count the same. So let's say you took, I don't know, what gets everybody, biochem? Let's say you took biochem 3 times. You got a C, you got a B, and you got an A. What is the average of those 2 classes? B. So now you have a 3.0 for 12 credits. Not great. But, they kind of all average out. So it's not like the A replaces the C and the B. It's not like the A replaces everything or the C replaces everything. It all averages out. Now, where that does really count is with prereqs. So let's say they require a B for prereqs, you had a C, you retook it, you got an A or an A minus or a B plus, now you're eligible because the highest one is good enough for prereqs, right? But the GPA, it still all averages out,
Okay.
right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where does like extracurriculars like come into all of this?
So there's no minimums for extracurriculars, right? Like there's no minimum number of sports that you have to play or clubs that you have to be a part of, but they're all good. So like leadership is a category. I'm not sure if you played around with CASPA, but there's leadership, there's extracurricular, there's like teaching, there's all kinds of little categories. Anything and everything you've done that's even remotely applicable, put it in there. Describe it, see what you learn from it. If you can relate it to being a PA, cool. If not, don't worry about it. But that's kind of how it does. It just kind of makes it more just well-rounded for you. But officially, not so much. There's no minimums for these things. It's just kind of who are you? Do they like, what you're all about? We had one back there. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. You.
Sorry. So you can make a CASPA account whenever you want, right? Like as early as possible.
You can, but if you open it right now, it won't let you load anything unless you're applying in 2024.
Okay.
Which is, it's already 2025, but like programs that haven't closed yet, which is like 10 programs. So you won't be able to do anything for next year until whatever that magic date is. I'm not certain. I haven't filled it out for a while. I don't know if it's until April when it like officially opens, or if it's like a few weeks or months before that. But the last I checked a couple weeks ago, you couldn't do anything. Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm what you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So you said like it averages GPA wise, but like say I retook a class and I got from like a C minus to a B plus, like they'll look at the retake, oh, she got a B plus, but like GPA wise it's averaged.
So GPA wise, it's averaged. So like your GPA at the bottom, I'm not sure if you've ever reviewed a PDF of a CASPA application. I've got like several hundred on here, but I don't want to give people's information away. So actually, yeah, if we could just point TikTok somewhere else, I'll show you guys real quick. So PDF. Unless I deleted some and offloaded them, but okay, here's literally like hundreds of them. Okay, so ignore this person's name and address. Sorry, TikTok, sorry for making you stare at the floor. Or if you could just have them look at me but not see all of this, right? Yeah, sorry. We're probably gonna go down from 95 to like one person, but that's okay. This is more valuable to you guys, because if you've never seen a CASPA application, when it comes to me, this is what I see. Demographics, date of birth, where this person lives, their ethnicity, that kind of thing. How big of a city they grew up in, what mom and dad did, what their like socioeconomic status was, 2-parent, 1-parent, what their parents did, all this kind of stuff, how much money they made, where they lived. Whenever I see like, town of 2000, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Or like something just a little bit unique, you immediately you can't help but think, okay, that's cool, that's unique, right? So all of that kind of stuff, the basics. Then it goes into the colleges they went to, which is important. But what you always fast forward to is the transcript. Here's the transcript, here's every class you've ever taken. And if there's college classes that you have taken that you haven't put into CASPA, that's fraud. Every single undergraduate class ever needs to go in here. And every graduate class, and those GPAs do not mix. So this person obviously quite good. You see a lot of A's, a lot of B's, a few C pluses here and there, but I'm assuming just based on looking at this that's not good. Very, very, very briefly, I'd say this person's in the mid 3.0 range, so like 3.3, 3.4. Was that right? Overall, 3.5. Graduate, 0. Bachelorette, 3.5. Senior year, 3.6. So this is what we're looking at. Freshman, junior, senior, that kind of thing. Then we look at the experiences, the write-ups, the hours. We look for PCE first, that kind of thing. So this is how we review things. I'm going to get rid of it so TikTok can come back. How many people do we lose?
You're at 114.
Never mind. Okay, cool. Man, people love this. Awesome. How are you?
We have this room booked at 9 p.m.
Okay. How much time do we have left? 4 minutes?
Usually it starts at 8:45 because we have the prep time.
Yeah. Do you mind if we take 5 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
All right. 114 people just saw it. Anybody commenting like, Anyway, so yeah, we got to wrap up. But anyway, so that's what we see when we look at CASPA. We see all those stats. They're all numbers. We were talking about GPAs. Is that right? Oh, yeah. So you see the numbers, right? You see like the average GPA. You see the freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Then you start digging into it a little bit more. Then you start going like class by class, semester by semester. I want to see consistent high performance, or at the very least, low performance initially, boom, high performance. What's really concerning is consistent low performance, consistent C's, D's, F's, or like very like sporadic, like a bunch of A's freshman year and then sophomore year, boom, like fell off a cliff. and then really picked it up junior year. All right, sweet, she's doing good, and then boom, senior year is crap again. Like, can you trust a student like that? I can't. Like last 60 credits, last 2 years, excellent, sweet. Okay, that's who I'm assuming I'm going to see in class, right? So that's kind of how GPA works. In a nutshell, I know we're about to get kicked out. So yeah, I think we probably have to end it here. I'm just going to ask one quick question. Out of all of this like strategy stuff, all these different factors that I kind of brought up to you guys, I know a lot of the stuff you probably heard of, they were great questions, but this basic strategy that I brought up, how many of you got something out of today that like you had not considered and that would be helpful to you? TikTok, everybody's raising their hand. So, yeah, awesome. That's why I do what I do. We realize we had like a